Welcome to Chronicles of My Inner Worlds. Today, we're going to dive deep together into a really profound and transformative inner journey. This comes from the 50th spiritual session of this 2024 season, where Christophe was accompanied by Joelle. And what emerged was this incredible framework for turning our deepest frustrations into a kind of cosmic dance. And we'll close out this whole exploration with an original piece of music born directly from the energy of that very session. So let's get into it.
So every big transformation, it seems, has to start somewhere, usually with some kind of problem, right? A point of friction. And this journey, it kicks off on what's called la voie de la frustration, the path of frustration. And you know this feeling, we all do. It's that sensation of being completely and utterly stuck. You're pushing with every ounce of your being against some invisible wall, and you are getting absolutely nowhere.
This quote really just nails it. It says, we're just in the doing, the execution, trying to move something forward that blocks all vision. The metaphor that came through in the session for this was perfect. It's the Boschier, or the Dung Beetle. I mean, think about it. It spends its whole life pushing this giant ball of, and it's so consumed by the task, so focused on it, that its entire view of the world is blocked by the very thing it's trying to move. We get so lost in the doing that we literally can't see anything else.
And here's the psychological trap that so many of us fall into. When that ball gets stuck, when all our hard work just stops yielding results, our first instinct isn't to question the ball. Oh no. Our first thought is, well, this should be working, so if it's not, I must be the one who's wrong. I must be on the wrong path. Maybe this isn't my real purpose, my true vocation. We start to doubt ourselves, our core mission, all because this one thing we've been pushing has just stopped.
Okay, so what happens when that frustration hits a boiling point? You're pushing, it's not moving, and you're at your wit's end. Well, that's when we arrive at what's called l'impasse du contrôle, which is just a beautiful way of saying the dead end of control. This is that moment where all our old tricks, our usual ways of pushing through, they don't just fail, they fail spectacularly.
And here, there was this brilliant play on words that came up in the session that just perfectly captures this crisis moment. So the first part is quand on est sans voie. That's V-O-I-E. It means when one is without a path. You know that terrifying feeling of being totally lost? Your map is useless and the world as you know it has come to an end.
And right on the heels of that comes the second part. On ne veut pas être sans voix. That's V-O-I-X. So when we lose our path, our deepest, most primal fear is losing our voice, our influence, our agency. That fear of becoming powerless, of not being heard, well, it triggers a pretty desperate reaction in us.
And that reaction, it was described with this really visceral image of a kamikaze pilot screaming as they charge into a totally hopeless fight. It's that last all-or-nothing lunge for control. You try to yell louder, to push harder, to assert your will one last time. But as the quote says, it's un dernier élan sans issue, a final impulse with no way out. It's just a crash. It is the very definition of a dead end.
So, if pushing harder is a dead end and screaming louder just leads to a crash, what's the alternative? This is the pivot point of the whole journey. It brings us to this incredible concept, l'art de la passivité active, the art of active passivity. And trust me, it's a completely counterintuitive, almost Zen-like approach to dealing with all this conflict and chaos.
Now let's be clear. Active passivity has nothing to do with being a doormat. It isn't weakness. It's actually a highly sophisticated technique, and the inspiration comes from the martial art Aikido. You see, the whole idea is that instead of meeting force with more force, like blocking a punch, you yield. You step aside. You let the energy of the conflict rush right past you. And in doing that, you put yourself in a position to work with that energy, not against it.
So how does this actually work? It breaks down into a four-step process. First, you welcome the energy of the conflict. Instead of putting up a shield, you open the door. Second, you yield. You consciously let that energy flow past you without fighting back. Now, step 3 is the magic move. You accompany the movement. You join its flow, kind of like a dance partner. And that leads you to the final amazing step. You transform that initial head-on collision into a creative, collaborative dance. And when you start to practice this art of active passivity, something really incredible starts to happen. You stop fighting chaos. You actually start to compose with it. This is a massive, fundamental shift in your entire mindset. You're moving from a place of conflict to one of pure creation.
This reframes everything, doesn't it?
That moment of total chaos, of losing control, it isn't a failure anymore. It's a divine signal. It's like the universe is tapping you on the shoulder, inviting you to stop being a soldier and to start being a composer. It's asking you, okay, things are messy. What new symphony will you create from this?
And the results of this shift in perspective, they're just profound. A confrontation is no longer an attack. It becomes a sacred movement. That scary energy that once felt like a threat is now seen as a gift, something that opens the door for co-creation. And my favorite transformation of all? What started as a warrior's parade becomes a lover's dance. It's just beautiful.
So all of this leads us to the final stage of this transformation, the ultimate destination of this whole inner journey. It is the culmination of everything we've been talking about, leaving that frustrating path of the dung beetle for the absolute freedom of the cosmic dance. When you boil it all down, it's a choice between two completely different destinies. On the one hand, you have the path of the beetle, a life that's just consumed by dead ends, frustration, and a blocked vision. But on the other hand, you have the cosmic dance, a life of expansion, of creative composition, of mutual growth, and ultimately of total liberation.
And what is the ultimate result of this cosmic dance? It all boils down to this single, simple number, 1. Those two energies that seem to be in complete opposition, you and the conflict, you and the other, they stop fighting, they merge. Because you chose to accompany the movement instead of resisting it, you create a new, shared reality. You become a single, collaborative force moving forward. This final insight is maybe the most beautiful part of this entire process, because it shows that it's not just about you. Your own personal growth creates ripples. As the quote says, "By evolving myself, I allow the other to continue to grow and to free themselves from their fears." You see? You don't just liberate yourself, you liberate the entire dance. So we're left with this final powerful thought. Every moment of frustration, every single dead end, it doesn't have to be a wall. It can be an invitation, a signal to stop pushing and to start composing. The only question left is the one right there for you to see. What symphony can you compose from your chaos? And now we'll move on to the musical composition, inspired directly by this very session. If you enjoyed this exploration, please click the thumbs up, leave a comment to share how it resonated with you, and definitely think about subscribing so you don't miss any of the next journeys in Chronicles of My Inner Worlds. If you were touched by what you heard, please share this episode with those around you. Sometimes, a single new perspective can make all the difference. See you very soon on another inner journey.
Turned into a cosmic spark. Frustration turns to fire. The universe starts to spin. I dance with my desires, and the walls dissolve from within.